Good morning from the top of the hill. Monday. Things have kind of changed over the weekend. I feel Hearts have dropped points, or not dropped points, they get beat. So that's was it 2 draws and a defeat, and they've got Hibs at the weekend. Celtic scraped through with a late win. That doesn't matter. They get 3 points. I never really. Well, what I look at with any other team around it is what their end result was, and it was a win. I'm not going to get into any controversy or stuff like that. They still did what they had to do. Same with Rangers. We kind of get a bit out of jail a bit. But I tell you what, I think there's been a shift over this last week, and I said it at the weekend. It's game on. I think it's total game on. Total game on. Rangers are grinding out results, and the thing is about all three of us that will challenge for this title. All three of us will drop points along the way, but it's who blinks first, because I don't like saying this because I've got a lot of Jambo mates, especially if any of you knows the big man through there, big T's, you'll know who I mean if I say the word T. One of the best people you'll meet, and I kind of want, if Hearts win, I'll be so happy for him, but Hearts have got Hibs on Saturday, and if they get beat by Hibs, it's if they beat Hibs, it's right, okay, because Hearts, let's be honest, they might be through a dicky spell. It happens. We won at the weekend there with a lot of players out, and I was reading this morning, reading up. Big Fernandez, he's keen to keep playing as you expect him to be, but he said he knocked on the manager's door saying he wants to play, and he also asked the manager if he's part of the manager's plans. He said, and the manager basically said, "Yeah, you just keep doing what you're doing in training." And I did see a few things at the weekend there from him that showed me that this guy could develop into an asset for Rangers. The 2.5. I said it was 3.5 million we paid for him, but according to the media, it was 2.5 million. I know a lot of Peterborough fans couldn't believe the price we paid for it, but there was a Peterborough fan on our page, said, "No, this kid will be all right." Like, they saw him improving. It's still a mental signing looking back on it, but he's here, and we've got to accept that. There's still negative Rangers fans, and I understand why they're negative, saying we've not got the squad to win this league. Have any of the three of us? It's none of us are particularly good. And as I said, I try not to repeat myself. I watched Graham Souness teams, I watched Walter Smith teams, I watched Dick Advocat teams play like that and grind out results. I think, look, and it's a huge if we win the league, that result against Livingston is the kind of result we'll look back and go, by the way, colour coordination, fantastic this morning. I'm also down 4 kilos since I've moved here. I don't know why I've told you that, but because I couldn't wear this t-shirt before. See how slim I am. But anyway, I don't know why I said that, but anyway, a bit of banter's never a bad thing. Lovely view this morning, a bit haze. I've got to go and do visa stuff now up in Pattaya to get my retirement visa, which is quite, But back to Rangers. Danny Rowe, 4 league games, 4 wins. I still see people and pages saying, "Oh God, this is crap" and all that. It wasn't attractive football, but Danny has done exactly what he said he was going to do when it comes to the league: win, and win ugly. And he's not happy with the performance. Neither will the players be. We've got injuries and it's kind of, when we say long term, it's like 4, 5, 6 weeks possibly. And I noticed he was very coy about Cornelius, and that one's a worry. Cornelius is a football player I would sign. I like Cornelius. He can ping free kicks. He's a good defender. He's a reader of the game, and I think he's a natural leader. And when it comes to Tav, I would definitely give Tav another year as a squad player, not as a captain. Let him. I'm quite sure Tav would happily hand over the captaincy to somebody else. We might get a leader, a player come in that we've not heard of, we've not talked about yet, whose head hasn't raised in our targets. A natural leader. And because Tav's never ever injured, and he's good for being around the club. He's been there 10 years. So he's good for a handover. It's when new players come in, he can help them. He can help them learn, introduce them to Glasgow. And I know for a fact he's some of the young players up at his house for meals and stuff like that with his wife and family. And my gut feeling is, I know he's got his badges. I believe he did them 2 years ago. He could end up staying at Rangers as a coach, and I'd have no issue with that. Tav's a Rangers legend. Yes, he has mistakes in him, but look at his stats for what the positives far outweigh the negatives. It just happens when he makes a mistake. He's just one of those players that, you know, and as some people have said, when Tav goes, we will miss him. Now, what else? I had another thing I was going to say. Oh, player recruitment in January. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, we'll get this. We need the spine, centre half, centre mid, striker." You know, and hopefully Miovski comes good. Hopefully Chermiti comes good. Because you think about it, if those two start scoring goals, you know what I mean. That we're going to hump teams anyway. But they need to get the service, etc., etc., etc. January, I think some of us need a wee bit of reality check there, because people are saying when Danny Rowe buys his players in January, it's difficult to buy players in January. Well, and there's two extra taxes. There's the January tax and the Rangers tax. People now know we've got money to spend. Our manager, our owner has said Rangers will spend. And in January, teams don't really want to sell players. There's two things I feel in January. If they sell a player, it's because the player's not playing too well. You know, so on you go. You know, I mean, sell them to Rangers. And if we want on a player that's playing well, you've got to pay well over the odds, what, 30, 40, 50, 60% more than they want. I would certainly get Big Gogic from St Mirren, and I would get Young Stewart from Kilmarnock. Pay, when I say pay what they want, I mean just go and get them. Because Mr. Kavanagh said to us, we will spend money. He learned a lesson. He doesn't want to make the same mistake twice. It will be there. And yes, I know the Thelwell factor. He's here. He's no going anywhere. And him and Stewart will be on a written warning of some sort of warning. Get this right or you're out the door. And again, what I liked as well with our new set piece coach, I'm not quite sure we saw any great fruits from it at the weekend. We did score from a corner, but I think that was just to do with the fact that we've got a giant centre half in Fernandez. I think he's 6'4". But now everyone's back from international duty. The set piece coach will be working his nuts off right this week. We've got Barga. I can never say them right. And Thursday night, so that's a 3 o'clock in the morning job for me, which I'll be up there. I don't mind doing it. You know, I enjoy it actually, because the banter's actually quite good with you lot. It's always good with the board, the page. You know, I'm lucky to have such good people on there. You know, real educated people as well. You know, and like I say, I always enjoy going on to other people's podcasts. You know, the Hands Across the Wall, the Journal guys. I was on Jers TV and all that. I'll go on anyone. Just give me. I need 24-hour warning, because of the time zones. You know, if I need to be up at 4 in the morning to come on your podcast, it is not a problem. Trust me. I've got my wee office there that you see me, and my wife and kids love it. They think it's amazing that we've got this little thing, this thing going, especially Kate, my youngest, my little assistant. She's in there tidying it up now, and it's going to cost me a tenner for a sweeping up. But anyway, it's interesting what's happening. It's interesting what's happening. You know, my senses are peaking. Not peaking at my senses about Rangers and what can happen here is like, all right, okay. It's getting interesting. You know, I know there's people saying, oh, we don't have the squad. Excuse me. We don't have the squad to win the league and the players to win the league. I think we do, because we've got 6 players out and we managed to scrape stuff together. And look at our bench. That bench was pretty strong. And I know Connor Barron, young Finn Curtis, why aren't we playing them? I can't answer that, other than Danny Rowe, who we know does major homework in every team we play. He set up a team to beat Livingston at the weekend, and he did that. You know. By the way, I can't remember his name. See the big boy that scored for us? See the big boy that scored for Livingston against us. Is he worth looking at, man? Because that was a great goal he took, and he was strong as well. You know, I know we can't just, anyone that scores against us, we can't say sign him. But a few on the page did mention, you know, why not go for him, and why not? You know, they did, and we got out of jail a wee bit of the weekend. And you know, I never moan much about referees, etc. and all that, because I say bad decisions balance themselves out. That happened at the weekend, let's be honest, that probably was a penalty. In the old school penalty system, when we were growing up, the punishment for a penalty, that was that whole old school, the ball played them. But that's not the rule now. I don't know what the rules are now with penalties. I don't think any of us do. But again, my colour coordination today, if Prada need anyone for the Paris catwalk week, I'm your man. Anyway, it's Monday, you're getting into work today. with a victory. So for Rangers, and we've got a good week. We've got Falkirk at the weekend at Ibrox. So let's see what happens. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. Thanks for listening as usual. Cheers.